In this video, we will briefly talk about solving equations, and before you start, you need to know the definition of a term, how positive and negative numbers work, and how to expand the brackets. Firstly, let's look at this illustration of a balanced scale where on the left-hand side we have two identical cylinders and one cube, and on the right-hand side we have one cylinder and three identical cubes. Now if I want to remove one of the cylinder on the left-hand side and I need to keep the scale balanced, I also need to remove one cylinder from the right-hand side. So if I removed one cylinder from each side, the scale still remains balanced. Again, if I want to remove one cube from the right-hand side and keep the scale balanced, I also need to remove one cube from the left-hand side, and the scale remains balanced. This concept is the key idea for solving equations. Whatever you do on one side, you must do on the other side to keep the balance. Case 1. Equations involving addition and subtraction. Suppose I have the equation x plus 5 is equal to 8. This means that the left-hand side of the equal sign is the same as the right-hand side of the equal sign. In other words, the scale is balanced. If I need to find for x, I need to remove 5 from the left-hand side, and if I'm removing 5 from the left, I also need to remove 5 from the right. And so, the equation will look like this. Now we can simplify both sides, and we find that x is equal to 3. Now let's look at another method which is popular. We have x plus 5 is equal to 8, and if we want to find for x, we can move the positive 5 over to the right hand side of the equal sign, and it will become negative 5. So the sign changes from positive to negative when it goes over the other side of the equal sign. So we have x is equal to 3. Let's look at another example. I have x minus 5 is equal to 8. And if I need to find for x, I can move the negative 5 over to the other side of the equal sign, and it will become positive 5. And so x is equal to 13. Case 2. Equations involving multiplication. Suppose I have 2x is equal to 8. This means 2 times x is equal to 8. I can find for x by dividing by 2 on both sides of the equation. We see that the 2's cancel on the left, and so x is equal to 4. Case 3. Equations involving fractions. Suppose I have x over 3 is equal to 4, and I need to solve for x. The first step in solving these types of equation is to remove fractions. To remove fractions, we find the LCM of the equation and multiply each side of the equal sign by the LCM. In this case, we have one fraction and the LCM is 3. So we multiply both sides by 3, and we see on the left hand side that the 3's cancel, so we have x is equal to 12. Let's look at another example where the x is the denominator. We have 3 over x is equal to 4, and so we need to remove the fraction, so the LCM in this equation is x, so we multiply both sides by x, and so the x's cancel, and we have 3 is equal to 4x. This brings us to case 2. If we need to find x, we can divide both sides by 4, and we see that the 4's cancel, so x is equal to 3/4. Example 3. In this case, we have 3 fractions. So the first step is to find the LCM. The LCM is 15, so we multiply both sides of the equation by 15. Now, we can simplify the left-hand side. 3 can go into 15 5 times, and then we can expand the right-hand side of the equation, and we get 15 times 1/3 minus 15 times 1/5. We can simplify, and we get 3 into 15 is 5, 5 into 15 is 3, and we have 5x is equal to 5 minus 3, which is equal to 2. And now we divide both sides by 5. The 5's cancel each other, so x is equal to 2/5. Case 4. Equations involving the unknown on both sides. In this equation, we have the unknown on the left side and the unknown on the right side. To solve these types of problems, we need to bring all the unknowns on one side of the equation and bring everything else on the other side. In this case, we will try to bring all the unknowns on the left side of the equation. So, if I want to bring positive 8x to the left side of the equation, it will become minus 8x. And if I want to bring positive 5 to the other side of the equation, it will become minus 5. I simplify both sides, and I get 2x is equal to 1. And now I can divide both sides by 2. The 2's cancel, and so x is equal to 1/2. Now let's piece all the 4 cases together. We must follow these 4 steps in order. Firstly, we must expand brackets. If there is no brackets to expand, move on to step 2. We must remove fractions. Again, if there is no fractions, move on to step 3. Separate the unknown terms from the others, and then step 4, solve using case 2. Let's look at an example. We have x over 3 plus 1/5 is equal to 1/3. The first step is to expand the brackets. We have no brackets, so we move on to the second step. The second step is to remove fractions. Here we have 3 fractions, so we need to find the LCM of these 3 fractions. We have the LCM as 15, and so we multiply both sides of the equation by 15. When we do this, we see that the 3 can go into 15 5 times, and then we can expand the left-hand side to get 15 times x over 3 plus 15 times 1/5, which is equal to 5. We simplify, and we get 5x plus 3 is equal to 5. Now, the third step, we separate the unknown terms from the others, so I can move the positive 3 over to the right hand side to become minus 3, and so that is equal to 2. Now, step 4, we solve using case 2, so I divide both sides by 5, and I get x is equal to 2/5. Example 2. In this example, we have brackets, so the first step is to expand brackets. When I expand brackets, I get 5 minus 4 plus 12x is equal to 4 minus x minus 1. The next step is to remove fractions. We have no fractions, so we move on to step 3. Separate the unknown terms from the others. In this case, I would like to bring all my x terms on the left-hand side of the equal side and everything else on the right-hand side. So I have 5x plus 12, and now I want to move positive 4x to the next side, so it will become minus 4x. And then I also want to move minus x over to the other side, so it will become positive x. And this is equal to minus 1 plus 4. I simplify both sides of the equal sign, and I get 14x is equal to 3. And now for step 4, we solve using case 2. So I can divide both sides by 14. We see that the 14s cancel, and so x is equal to 3 over 14. Example 3. The first step, we expand brackets. So I expand 3x minus 4. So I get 3x minus 12. The next step, remove fractions. I have 4 and 2, and so the LCM would be 4. So I multiply both sides of the equation by 4. Now I expand and simplify the fractions. So I have 4 times 3x minus 12 all divided by 4 minus 4x times x minus 5 over 2 is equal to 4. We simplify, and now I get 3x minus 12 minus 2 open brackets x minus 5 close brackets is equal to 4. I expand the brackets and I get 3x minus 12 minus 2x plus 10 is equal to 4. And now for step 3, we separate the unknown terms from the others. So I can remove the minus 12 and put it on the other side, and the positive 10 and put it on the other side of the equal sign, and I will get plus 12 and minus 10. I simplify both sides of the equation and I get x is equal to 6. Thanks for watching.